You have heard that it was said, 'Love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you."
What up, everybody? Welcome back. I'm sure for many of you, the last time you heard my beautiful voice was in this video. A video that admittedly got a lot more attention than I thought it would. Assuming that this video will do at least somewhat well, I'm gonna plug my Instagram, which I've never done before. If you want to see my art, the link is in my channel description. Regarding this video, I just want to say thank you for the positive reception. That video has almost a 98% like to dislike ratio, which is phenomenally good for such a high view count. I've enjoyed reading the comments, even if like half of them are all echoing the same opinion. That of course leads me to talk about I Hate Fairyland. Based on those comments I mentioned, this new continuation has had a pretty mixed reaction, to say the least. You might assume from the last video that I do not like Brett Bean's run of I Hate Fairyland, but you would be wrong. This is one of the only series that I actually keep up with each month. This series is still very much one of my favorites. I think it's a great place to start if you've never read comics before, and there's still a lot of great moments and bits in pretty much every issue. I still love and respect Skottie Young as an artist and writer. I'm gonna try to not go on too many whiny tangents this time around, so you might actually believe that. I just wanted to make that evidently clear before I say this.
What the fuck? Are you fucking serious? Are you stupid? Are you dumb? Are you a moron? Are you an idiot? Are you a dumbass?
Alright, let's see if Skottie can finally, after 7 years, make a great Fairyland volume again. Issue 15 ended with Gert becoming a giant monster and saving Fairyland from the mutant Gertlings, and that apparently there's no way to reverse the effects. But issue 16 starts with Gert right after she saved Fairyland, but very noticeably is not a giant kaiju. I'm gonna be honest, the cliffhangers at the ends of these volumes are so hit or miss. Sometimes they're fantastic, and other times they feel like the ending of any other issue. I don't need earth-shattering cliffhangers at the end of every volume, but it does feel like Skottie put this Godzilla cliffhanger just to give us something reminiscent of other volumes' endings. You know what I mean? What was even the point of ending issue 15 the way that he did? I'm gonna try to not go on too many whiny tangents this time around, but ignoring the incongruence of the last issue, this one starts with Gert being invited to a celebration of her saving Fairyland. It's here where she decides that since everyone likes her now, that, hey, maybe Fairyland ain't so bad after all, and she announces that it's her home now. I've heard some negative sentiment about this, because it's clearly contrary to the title of the series for Gert to not hate Fairyland, but I actually like this development. Gert has spent literal decades in this place. Like, Gert came to Fairyland when she was 6 years old. 27 years pass by the time the series starts, and probably several more years after that. That's at least 80% of her life spent in this place. I think it makes a lot of sense for her character to eventually grow accustomed to Fairyland enough to give up on trying to return home, especially when everyone likes her now. I felt like this was a natural direction for the series to go in and could potentially facilitate more unique stories. So just in that, I'm already enjoying this issue. In the midst of the celebration, a young wizard comes out of nowhere to take revenge on Gert because his parents died in the giant magical explosion from issue 6 of the original series, even saying the same magic words that she said. But Gert throws some peanuts in his mouth and then he explodes. He goes to hell and meets all the other people who were killed by Gert during her escapades, aptly named the Gerted, which I thought was a pretty funny name. It turns out the one who gathered all these people is none other than everyone's favorite evil disco enjoyer, Happy. Unlike at the end of issue 15 from the original run, this isn't just a bait and switch. Happy really is back. I'm really glad that Skottie brought Happy back. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but the end of volume 3 is my favorite cliffhanger in this series. I was so excited by that ending. So it was pretty disappointing when it turned out to be just the devil taking on a different form that he keeps for like 2 panels. I like to think this is Skottie's way of apologizing for the beginning of issue 16. More reparations for volume 4, please. So overall, I was quite excited to see where this would go. Don't get too excited though. This one starts with this story about a princess and a peasant boy and how they're in love, but they can't marry because she's already arranged to marry a prince. Yada yada yada, typical fairy tale stuff. Gert comes in and kills the hero of the story, and we meet him in the Inferno following Happy as they make their way to lay siege to Fairyland. I thought this fairy tale opening was kind of funny. The whole time I was thinking, where is this gonna go? Because you already knew from the moment this issue started, it's gonna have a Shrek level twist to it. I'm going to talk more about this later, but I really wish these issues were longer, man. We don't have a lot of time to develop the characters and plot, so when 6 pages of this issue are dedicated to just a setup for a punchline that really wasn't that hard to predict, I can't help but feel like we could be using this time just a little better. Anyway, Happy arrives in Fairyland and she looks like Tunnel Man. King Claudius summons Gert to tell her about it. He recruits Gert to find what are called the Once Upon a Timers because their armies aren't enough to stop Happy. What are Once Upon a Timers? We find out when Gert temporarily goes to Earth and ends up in... Wait, no.
This one doesn't get a Rob Zombie song to introduce it. This book sucks.
No way.
This is like at the end of the last 2 books where we just hang out in Oz, but in feature length.
Oh, you cannot be serious. No, I can't go through this again. You can't make me.
There ain't no way this guy cut a square hole in tin with a pair of hedge trimmers.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Well. If it isn't my mortal enemy. You just couldn't stay dead, could you? This franchise has been haunting me all of last year, and you had to just come along and put some more icing on this emerald cake of suffering. This issue came out after I made my Oz video, by the way. A video that somehow has more views than an interview with the creators, which I think is really funny. Issue 18 starts in this Pillow Kingdom when Happy comes along to take over Fairyland with all the people Gert killed. We see the Gert variants that were killed in issue 7 again, although there is one that's notably missing. But no one cares about them, because we got Darkest Deneth back, let's go! Wait a minute, why is he even here? Darkest Deneth is like the one person that doesn't hate Gert, and he certainly isn't dead. Honestly, I'll take any excuse to see my boy again. They kill a bunch of people, and we learn that the Gert variants aren't actually that loyal to Happy. And then we go back to Kansas, where Gert tries to recruit Dorothy, and there are no swearzards anymore. So that means Gert can swear uncensored, and I am not going to complain about this. She tries to convince Dorothy to help her, but she doesn't want to because she likes living in Kansas with her lesbian farmer partner.
Partner like gay?
I wonder if we're gonna see her again. Why is Dorothy even in Kansas right now? I thought at the end of the Emerald City of Oz, she decided to live in Oz with her family. Whatever. We go back to Fairyland after everything's been taken over by Happy. The Gert variants come to see her, and wait, there she is! They're not even gonna have some kind of dramatic reveal? You brought back the character that the killing off of became the most controversial decision in this entire franchise, and she doesn't even get an introductory panel? Why wasn't she with the others in this scene? It's not explained why adult Gert was missing here. This is literally the original Gert that Scotty meticulously drew for years, and she's just thrown into the pile with all the others. Most of these other Gert variants only appear in one issue, some of which aren't even real. You can't just slap her next to these chumps. Also, how come Samurai Gert's not here? Happy's like, I know you're all gonna turn against me, so I'm gonna absorb your life forces or whatever. Then Happy absorbs their life forces or whatever and turns into Mega Happy.
I don't know who that is, I'm sorry.
Also, why does Brett draw Happy so tall? She's not supposed to be that tall. I don't know if Brett realizes that Happy is way smaller than Gert. It just looks weird to me how she and Gert have pretty much the same body type. So this is the last time we see the Gert variants until the very end, and it's like, dude, why did you even bring them back if they're not gonna do anything? This was my problem when Scotty brought them back the first time. I noticed that Good Gert and Cave Gert have a little friendship going on, which is sorta cute, I guess, but it's really the only unique interaction between the variants. I don't really understand why Scotty keeps introducing things into this series if he doesn't plan on doing anything with them. I want to see the Gerts do more than just stand around and talk. At least in issue 7 they fought each other, which was pretty cool. But in volume 8 they're just here because Scotty thought we wanted to see more of them, because they admittedly didn't do much then either. You know which Gert variant I would actually like to see, Scotty? This one! She's barely appeared in this volume so far because we keep cutting to what Happy is doing. Happy is supposed to be the final antagonist of this run, and she hasn't even interacted with normal Gert yet. It kinda reminds me of another I Hate Fairyland finale with a character who's killed in issue 5 that was brought back from the dead as an evil version of what's normally a soft and disarming design. And you guys know how much I loved that volume. Also, they keep calling her the OG. That's not the OG. She is. Anyway, let's get to this exciting battle to save Fairyland. Issue 19 starts with Dorothy talking to June. That's the name of this Oz OC. She convinces her to help Gert out, so she calls Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Hey, remember when I mentioned that book in the first video? She's running a smoke shop or something, which is pretty funny, I think. Then all the other royalty-free versions of these classic Disney characters are called, and we go to the final battle between Gert and Happy. What happened after Gert failed to recruit the Once Upon a Timers? I don't know. So since this is the final battle, does that mean we're gonna see Duncan? Or Virgil? Or Rotwald? He's still in Fairyland, supposedly. We haven't seen him since issue 5. Or how about Claudia? I thought her being alive was gonna lead somewhere. No? We're not gonna see any of them? You're gonna put all this stupid fan service here and not even include the dunk? Anyway, they fight, and Gert is predictably overwhelmed. Then the giant Twister appears and summons all the Once Upon a Timers, including Jasmine, who I'm pretty sure is not public domain, considering she was an original character made for Princess and the Frog.
We gotta take the power back! We gotta take the power back!
Here it is, guys. The last issue of Brett Bean's run of I Hate Fairyland. I'm gonna be completely honest with you up front. It was kind of disappointing. The Once Upon a Timers fight Happy and her army. We see them all use their unique abilities, a lot of which are pretty creative. Okay, who is this person? Is this Wendy from Peter Pan? Is it Ariel? I feel like if it was Ariel, she should have like a fishing harpoon or something. Gert and Dorothy fight Mega Happy, but she's still too strong until the Gert variants disobey Happy and they bust their way out of her spirit or something. Her chi, maybe. So Happy is defeated, I guess. Her army too, I'm assuming. Bruh, that's really how Happy is defeated? She just suddenly loses all of her powers? The Once Upon a Timers didn't even have to be here for that to happen. I still don't even know why the Gert variants were put in this story. I would have accepted Happy to just be really powerful without having to absorb the other Gerts. And why does she even need to be that powerful? I thought the whole reason why Happy's army is unstoppable is because of the sheer quantity of people that Gert has killed. Not because Happy herself is so powerful. Dude, I'm so sick of these stories falling under the smallest bit of scrutiny. I don't like nitpicking. I really don't. I just have really high expectations for these books, okay? I'm sorry. But whatever, the Gert variants escape and they're gonna kill Happy, but Gert stops them and she offers to sacrifice herself as an expiation for all the harm she's caused in Fairyland. Considering all this Happy drama was her fault anyway. I mean, if you want to get really technical, the other Gert variants are just as guilty as she is. But because of her noble act, another key appears for her. Just for her, though. I don't know what the deal is with the other versions of her. There's like another rule that got created because of her selfless act. Sure, man. I'm so tired of complaining about this series. She goes to grab the key after a heartwarming send-off to everybody, but the key disappears. It turns out that she can only go home after she finds the key again, and she gets so mad about this that she starts killing everyone again. Alright, so much for character development, I guess. I thought in issue 16 she didn't want to leave anymore. I honestly thought that's what was going to happen. She rejects the key because Fairyland is her home now. Kind of like what Duncan did in issue 10. But I guess this is just so that the series can go back to the status quo. So that's what? The 4th time the status quo has been reinstated in this series? Can we please stop doing this? Alright, let's talk about Volume 8. I Hate Fairyland Volume 8 Happy Endgame was pretty underwhelming. It started interestingly enough with issue 16, but as it went on I realized just how bare bones this story was turning out. I really wish these issues were longer because at the moment, it feels like we're taking baby steps through this arc. There's only room for like 3 scenes in each issue, making it seem like it has half the content that other comic series have. This is how I felt about Volume 4 too. Look at Deadly Class Volume 7. So much happens in that volume. I know Deadly Class has longer issues than I Hate Fairyland, but it's still 4 compared to 5. And I was able to analyze and discuss it for like 20 minutes. I don't expect a level of emotional weight and narrative depth on par with Deadly Class when I read I Hate Fairyland, but gimme something, man. Even compared to the original series, it just felt like more was being stuffed into those issues. Volume 8 was certainly ambitious. I admire that Scotty went for something grandiose and climactic. And although the Once Upon a Timers was a neat idea, circling I Hate Fairyland back to its roots as a fairy tale parody, while also tying it to Scotty Young's own roots, I gotta say, I would just rather focus on the dynamic between Gert and Happy. And I especially wish the Gert variants were used better. In fact, keep these guys out of this. Just bring back adult Gert. That's all we wanted to see anyway. Give her an actual introduction back into the plot, make her more of a secondary villain. Maybe even end it with making the series going forward about adult Gert and normal Gert together. I know most people like adult Gert more, maybe for reasons that are a little creepy, but it would have made for a more exciting cliffhanger. I didn't mention it before, but there is a lot of moments in this series where the jokey, Whedon-esque quips got on my nerves. Like, do we really have to acknowledge every pop culture reference that's made? When Gert comes to battle in the classic William Wallace face paint, Happy doesn't need to go, looks like someone just got made president of the Braveheart fan club or something stupid like that. Like, shut up, Happy. You're supposed to be intimidating. This is something that I've sort of complained about since the first issue. I Hate Fairyland's best comedy, at least in my opinion, comes from visual gags and surrealist humor, not quippy dialogue. Gert doesn't know pop culture references but still knows who White Zombie is. I'm not letting that go. Volume 8 is getting a very reluctant 2 out of 5 stars. This hurts me more than it hurts you, Scotty. Well, that was the end of Brett Bean being the illustrator for this series, like I said. Scotty drew this variant cover of issue 20, where Gert gives Brett Bean Scotty Young's severed head in a box as a send-off for him. When he posted it on his Instagram, mine was the only comment not hearted by him. So yeah, actually, I Hate Fairyland sucks, and I'm never buying from Scotty's website ever again. In all seriousness, I think Brett did a great job reimagining this world and these characters. I haven't mentioned my feelings on his art besides a very basic, I like it, but not as much as Scotty's art. But I still think his art is really good. It fits the tone of the series very well. Sometimes the way he draws hands is a little weird for me, but that's pretty minor considering the monumental task of taking the mantle from Scotty Young, whose art is just untouchable. I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for what Brett Bean does next. But what's next for I Hate Fairyland? Well, judging by the ending of issue 20, we're obviously not done. Scotty did announce the new artist for the next run, and that new artist will be, drum roll please, Stone Toss. I always knew you'd make it big someday, Stone Toss. I'm just kidding. It's Derek Loffman. Just looking at his art on Instagram, I can tell that he'll be a good fit for the series, so I'm excited to see how his spin on this character is going to play out. Maybe he'll do another 20 issues, and then Stone Toss will be the main artist. I don't know how long this series will go on for. I love this series, but it's got to end at some point. Hopefully not after 100 issues, after Garth Ennis started writing for it. Will it ever be adapted into a television series? And will Gert be voiced by either Melissa McCarthy or Sarah Silverman? What do I want to see from this franchise? I've complained and complained and complained about every little thing that bothered me for the last 25 issues of this series. So what makes the first 3 volumes so much better? More specifically, what made the first volume so special? Volume 1, Madly Ever After, was a perfect balance of light-hearted episodic stories and simple yet engaging narrative. Gert needs to find the key before Happy, so that leads her to get awesome evil powers and blows up the sun. It gave us opportunities to meet fun characters. We had a great villain that had great interactions with the protagonist. We had good banter between our protagonist and co-lead, topped with an amazing ending. Any nitpicks that I had with Volume 1 didn't matter because of how solid everything else was. The humor, the story, the characters, the art especially. Volume 2 didn't have that thread connecting all the chapters together like Volume 1. It almost did with Duncan, but Duncan just got left behind. There are some of my favorite issues in Volume 2, but without that simple narrative, it didn't feel as cohesive. Volume 3 had a great setup for a simple narrative that left itself open to one-off adventures, but issue 13 really killed that trajectory. And Volume 4 was Volume 4. Volume 5 successfully recreated this formula best out of the whole new run. Gert's dynamic with Rot and Virgil was really great, and a pretty well-needed change for her constantly relying on Larry to bounce banter off of. There was a simple premise for the volume: get to Fairyland and find Wiggins' son, which allowed us to get some pretty funny and episodic issues. But I think it was the setting, just feeling like a more drab Fairyland, that made the volume feel like something was missing. A change in setting could have been a great choice to make it stand out on its own, but I think Scotty just wasn't committed to the Inferno aesthetic for it to really feel different. I mean, there shouldn't be normal looking people or green grass in the Inferno, right? New Goth City felt more like an Inferno than the Inferno did. Volume 6 was the biggest fumble since Volume 4. It was convoluted. It didn't make any sense. They didn't follow the rules established in the original series. It made a lot of people lose interest. It was too focused on the plot, making the wacky little tangents feel more like we're wasting time than anything. Volume 7 had the most confusing string of issues in the whole series. Gertrude was barely in the first 2 chapters. The plot with Claudia didn't go anywhere. Maybe it'll get picked up in the next run. Issue 12 absolutely does not belong here. Issue 13 is one of the best in Brett's run, and one of the funniest in the whole series. Then, at the end, we get a narrative that should have lasted the span of the entire volume. I still like In the Meantime, but it just didn't know where to go with the series. And then there's Volume 8. I like the ambition of Volume 8, focusing on a single story for all 5 issues, but the story itself was unfocused, relying on gimmicks instead of a simple yet engaging narrative. With the ending of issue 20, Scotty has brought the series to an effective restart. He has the potential to come up with stories that can return the series to when it was at its best, when everyone loved it, when it really was a candy-colored and vicious delight. In this next run, I want to see Gert have episodic and surrealist adventures that are still relevant to a simple yet engaging narrative. I want to see new characters that fit with the tone of I Hate Fairyland while still offering something new. I don't want to see meaningless fan service. If you're going to bring back Claudia or Duncan or anyone else, you better have a really good reason. I want to see moments of pure hype that make me want to cheer and spit and clap, not just random pages of mindless action. I want to see rules and mechanics that are consistent. I don't even need them to be consistent with the original series, or even the Brett Bean run, because at this point, I don't think Scotty cares about keeping it consistent with the previous books. So I'll accept just being consistent with itself. I know Scotty Young is capable of delivering on these 4 things. I know that he's capable of meeting the standards that were established by the first 3 volumes. You just gotta believe.
I believe.
That's the spirit.
I believe that.
I did no such thing! Bonnie is telling you lies! I was in the backstage!
Sephiroth? Psst. There's something I want to tell you about.
What did you do to my drink? You what? You don't know something!
That makes me damn sick.
And Chorito, mister? I can tell you're the kind of guy that likes them extra hot. Here you go, amigo.
What is this thing doing?
This is completely unreviewable trash, and here's why. Question: what is even the purpose of a music review in the first place? I can say these in terms of my own intent. I don't want to do a music review.
I love you.
Ooh, somebody stop me. I'm laughing.
Okay, that was a lot of talking. So here's some more. I'm going to now rank every issue of I Hate Fairyland from worst to best. I did this in the first video, but now we have 40 issues to rank instead of 20. I'm going to go through these as fast as I can, since I already talked about them at length in 2 different videos. I'm going to be referring to issues in the Brett Bean run as continuations of issue 20 from the original series. So issue 1 of volume 5 will be issue 21, and issue 20 from volume 8 will be issue 40, and so on. Okay, so what is the worst issue of I Hate Fairyland? Well, for me, that is a very obvious number 40, issue 32. This is the one about the goats, the billy goats, crossing the bridge with the troll in it. This just doesn't belong here, man. Like, this feels so much more like from the Untold Tales of I Hate Fairyland. And even then, even if it was an Untold Tale of I Hate Fairyland, it would still be lame. Like, why is this here? Like, this volume really needed to be good after volume 6 kind of fumbled the bag, and this was not looking like it was not looking good when this came out. Okay, number 39 is issue 18. This is still my least favorite issue from the original series. This is when the story just falls apart, and it's the first time the story has ever fallen apart, so it was especially painful. Number 38 is issue 19. It kind of goes hand in hand with 18. I mean, it just doesn't, the story just didn't make any sense. The story just didn't make any sense. Scotty Young himself called it convoluted and a little rushed, so that's all you need to know. Number 37 is issue 30. This is when Gert goes and breaks Claudia out of jail. This is the one that made me lose my marbles in the last video. The moon cameo, I mean, what was that, dude? Those precious, precious pages that could be used for, oh, I don't know, breaking out of prison, or dedicated to Claudia and Gert and Duncan finding the key. Instead, we get this just splash page of this montage. Like, what? Come on, man. Yeah, that was whack. Number 36 is issue 38. This is the point where I realized that Happy Endgame was not living up to my expectations. So Happy attacks Fairyland, and Gert talks to Dorothy, and Happy becomes mega happy. Can we please stop doing things that are just like completely superfluous? Number 35 is issue 6. This one is a lot higher up, or I guess lower. This one is a lot lower in the ranking than my last ranking, because I've realized just how telling issue 6 was. I was disappointed with issue 6 when I first read it, and I think I have disliked it more and more as the years have gone on. This is the first time the status quo was reinstated. Like, we should have realized that because of issue 6, Scotty really just isn't willing to make major changes in the series. Issue 6 was the first time that we realized that the series is not going to change very much. I mean, Volume 2 could have centered around Gert being the queen, and that could have been kind of the through line of that whole volume. And if you wanted to end it with her being fired and going back to the status quo, that's fine. Man, issue 6 was, I mean, it just kind of made the great ending that was issue 5 kind of pointless. Number 34 is issue 27. This is the big one. This is the one that a lot of people have an issue with. This is when adult Gert is killed by the normal Gert, by the different multiverse Gert. Now, I've said it in my last video that I understand why Scotty wanted to make Gert a kid again, and I honestly, in theory, like that idea. I'm not like one of these guys that, has the hots for Gertrude for some reason. So it doesn't matter to me if Gert's an adult or if she's a kid. It's just the fact that the Gert that we were following for years is dead, and we're following someone completely different. I mean, not completely different, obviously, but yeah, I understand why a lot of people stopped reading the series after this. I don't think it's nearly as egregious. I just think it was really strange. Like, pretty bold. I commend the boldness, but yeah, this it did not work out well. Number 33 is issue 40, the final issue. I don't know, man. It was honestly more of an anticlimactic finale than issue 20. Speaking of, number 32 is issue 20. This one is also lower on the list than last time. I gave it some points because I really think that ending was pretty satisfying. Like, if you were going to end it, that would be the way to go. It's just the fact that it wasn't the end. It wasn't even close to the end, actually. So the satisfying ending doesn't really count anymore, I don't think. I'm 100% certain that if Scotty knew that the series wasn't going to end after issue 20, that it would be way different. Issue 31, Claudia IRL. I mean, what? Like, why is Travis Kelce here? I don't know, man. It kind of seemed like they're doing like an enchanted thing. It's like, bro, you're not her. You're not her. Sorry. Number 30 is issue 34. This is when Gert fights Happy, and then Dorothy and the others show up at the end in the big twister. I mean, what's there to say? Like, it's just kind of like the beginning of the last issue. Like, it doesn't really hold up on its own. So, I don't know, man. Sure, we'll put it at number 30. Okay, number 29 is issue 17. This one is higher on the list. I was pretty harsh to issue 17. There's really nothing wrong with issue 17. It was just that there's only one thing that happens. Duncan delivers the bones of Claudia to Horabella, and it was pretty cute seeing Duncan in the UPS uniform. I like that. And I like Horabella. I like seeing her again. And I like the idea of making Claudia the final antagonist of the series. It's just like that's kind of all that happens. And honestly, it's not like, I can't say it's a bad issue. It's fine. It's just the fact that, not a whole lot happens after that. At least not a whole lot that's very interesting or cohesive. So yeah, issue 17 is not nearly as bad as I was making it out to be. Number 28 is issue 29. This is when Gert is talking to Duncan, and she turns into a dragon, and Claudia is teased at the end. I mean, I was excited for Claudia to come back. Again, it doesn't make sense why Duncan is grown up. I mean, I think it's literally just like, oh, it would be cool to see Duncan as a grown man, as this really big guy, completely ignoring the fact that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I mean, I don't know. again, I don't really have much to say about it. When I said that the tangents that we go on kind of feel like we're wasting time, this is what I'm talking about. It's like we're going through this story and then it's like, oh wait, this is I Hate Fairyland. We need like wacky hijinks. She turns into a dragon. Yeah, which I mean, it's kind of fun, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why I don't really like that scene very much. It feels like I should, but I just don't, and I don't know why. Hey guys, so I just totally skipped over number 27. For number 27, I put issue 28, the first issue with normal Gert going forward. And I'd say this is not really, well, I don't really have a lot to say about this one. I do like the beginning, starting very similarly to issue 2 of the original series. I did think that was a pretty clever and subtle homage. So I did like that opening, but other than that, I don't really like Duncan's involvement in this story. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, as I've at length complained about in the last video. So yeah, that's going here. Okay, number 26 is issue 37. This is the unnecessary story at the beginning, and Happy arrives in Fairyland, and Dorothy is teased at the end. I'll say this, when I read this for the first time, I had a very strong amalgamation of emotions. On one hand, I was like, dude, I hate Oz. I've got huge beef with Oz. Do not put Oz in this story. On the other hand, I was like, wow, we're really bringing Oz into the story? Let's see where this goes. So I was pretty excited to see where it was going to go, but it was very odd. Another very odd decision by Scotty. Number 25 is issue 13. This one is lower on the ranking because I have just grown to not like 13. I think it's still funny, and I like Dean Rankind's art. I definitely like his art in issue 13 way more than his art that he did for the Untold Tales of Fairyland. I feel like in those issues, it's just way more like stripped back and plain. There's not nearly as much detail. It's not nearly as funny, but that doesn't matter. Issue 13 is fine on its own. It's perfectly fine on its own. It's just the fact that it just completely disrupts the flow and pacing of Volume 3. Oh my gosh. It's like if 13 wasn't here and 13 was replaced with like a better issue that was more relevant to everything else, I think issue 3 could like rival issue 1, honestly. But instead we got this. We have to have another guest illustrator. We did it last time. Except Chamba Cruz's art is I like a lot more than Dean Rankind's, to be honest. But number 24 is issue 16. This one is higher on the list because I think I've just, I've grown to put aside my own biases. Would I have preferred Gertrude to break out of hell and kill a bunch of demons on the way out? Yes, I would have preferred that. Is that really this issue's fault? I don't think so. Again, it was clever and it was subversive, and we got to see Gert's parents. Like, that's pretty significant. So it's not a bad issue. I think it's just attached to a string of issues that I didn't like going forward. So I kind of felt like this was an even bigger disappointment than I think it really is. Number 23 is issue 22. This is the second issue of the Bean Run, and it still kind of feels like we're just getting started. Like, it feels very attached to the first issue. So it's kind of hard for me to really talk about it on its own. I mean, Gert prepares to go to the Inferno, and then she does, and she meets Virgil. I mean, Virgil's a cool character. He doesn't really do anything in this issue specifically, but so yeah, it's fine. It's a good continuation of the last one, I guess. Any like hint of inconsistency with the rules and mechanics, I'm like a bloodhound when it comes to this series. Like, I have read through these books so many times. If I get even the slightest waft of inconsistency, I'm going to baby rage, and I'm going to Hulk out, and I'm going to crash out. I'm going to flip out even, but it's not bad. Number 22 is issue 34. This is finally when Volume 7 starts. This is when the mutant Gertlins strike back. I enjoyed this issue. I was excited to see how it was going to play out, and it ended up being pretty important and pretty significant going forward, so I can't really say it was disappointing in any way. I just kind of wish this replaced... I kind of wish issue 13 was issue 12, and this was issue 13 instead. That would give us an entire issue of, I don't know, maybe like this could have started out as like a fun little episodic story with Gert and Virgil and Larry like doing something fun, like they're trying to go back to the ice palace, but they get distracted for something, and I don't know, man, like I just don't like issue 12. I don't like issue 12. Number 21 is issue 25. This is the one where you play the song. You're supposed to play the song. I think if I liked the song more, I would like this issue more. It's definitely an interesting idea. I've never seen something like that before, so I commend Scotty in turning it into a multimedia experience. That's certainly a cool idea. I gotta say, like I said in the last video, I'm pretty sure that Scotty, when he was explaining to Brett Bean what's going to happen in this volume, or issue, I mean, Scotty was like, okay, so we're going to have a rock song be played, so I need like a rock band to be in the background. And Brett Bean was like, oh, okay, I know what a rock band looks like. It's like that's not the right kind of rock. That's literally like a punk or thrash metal band. It just like it does not match the song that you're listening to in any capacity. But that doesn't matter. Like, it's fine. It's a fine issue. Number 20 is issue 26. This is the first issue of volume 6. Gert meets Thomas, and we start this plot of Judd going to the different multiverses and collecting the Gert variants. Honestly, I was pretty intrigued by this. Like, this was a really interesting idea for me. It was something brand new. I know, like, multiverse is like, eye roll. I don't know, man. It could have been pretty fun. It just kind of turned out pretty bad, and I don't think that this is this issue's fault. I shouldn't fault this issue for that, but yeah, I mean, I liked this issue. I was excited to see where this was going to go. Number 19 is issue 35. It's when Virgil comes back, the second part of the like Gertlin apocalypse thing, and we see Gertzilla. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was cool. It was a good way to end it. Gertzilla's cool. Virgil is cool. So yeah, it's a fine issue. Okay, I skipped over number 18 as well. Number 18 is issue 21, the first issue of the Bean run. And I would say I liked this issue quite a bit. It doesn't feel like the other issues for some reason. It had to do a lot. Like I said in the last video, it has to reintroduce a lot of things. And I think it successfully did everything that it was trying to do. Everything that I have to say about issue 1 of volume 5 I said in the last video. So number 17 is issue 10. This one is higher up in the ranking because I don't know, I think after reading the last 3 volumes, even the last 4 volumes, like the entirety of the Bean run, we have been taking issues like issue 10 for granted. Because originally, I wasn't the biggest fan of this issue because it wasn't really, it didn't really amount to anything. But honestly, I'll take that over an issue that is blowing my mind with how, sloppily it's written. You know what I mean? Dude, give me a cool-looking Gert and a cool-looking Duncan. I'm happy. I'll be happy. Please. Remember when issue 10 was the worst issue in the series? Oh my gosh. Number 16 is issue 12. This one is also higher in the ranking because I also think I was being a little unfair to this one. Yeah, I think my idea would be better, but I shouldn't fault the issue itself for that. Again, like issue 10, really taking these for granted. In all honesty, it's an awesome issue. It's awesome. Samurai Gert, awesome. The Shiitake clan, so cool. Such a genius design, the Shiitake clan. Come on, man. Number 15 is issue 36. I think I'm in the minority and actually liking this issue. I was pretty hopeful for volume 8 when this came out. I know, some people might say, oh, well, it's why are they so happy for Gert? It was Gert's fault that, the world turned into Apocalypseburg. Okay, first of all, that wasn't her. That was the adult Gert. So let's get technical here. Second of all, they were in the apocalypse for a year. I think if anyone put an end to that, regardless of whose fault it was in the first place, yeah, I would celebrate. We're not living in an apocalypse anymore. Great. So yeah, I have no complaints for this one. I like this one a lot. Number 14 is issue 15. This is my favorite ending. Happy, sitting on the throne of hell, the little tentacle chair. I don't know why it's a tentacle themed. Yeah, this is one that I was really, really excited to read for the first time. So, yeah, it's great. Number 13 is issue 24. Yeah, this is, I'm definitely in the minority for putting it this high. I think this one is funny. Like, yeah, it's gross and it's kind of weird. I mean, it's really weird. It definitely seems out of place, but I think that kind of adds to the wackiness of it. I saw a comment that was like, maybe like theorizing the idea that this was like a fetish thing for Scotty. There's no way. Scotty has never put nudity in his writing before, like even outside of Fairyland. So the fact that this just kind of came out of nowhere doesn't seem like this isn't a trend in his writing. You know what I mean? So I do not think this is like a fetish for Scotty. And here's why. Like, you guys need to understand these people that are like, oh man, Gert is so hot. Look at how hot Gert is. Gert is not hot. She's disgusting. And this issue is to show you how disgusting she is. And apparently people didn't get the memo. Okay, number 12 is issue 3. At long last, we've gotten to volume 1. Issue 3 is still my least favorite issue from volume 1. I still think it's a great issue. Really good bits. Happy is a fantastic antagonist. Not really antagonist, but foil for Gertrude. The whole scene where they meet is just great. And yeah, it's a really solid issue. Number 11 is 23. This is the Gertlands. And I like this issue a lot. It felt like pretty classic I Hate Fairyland. There's some really fun action. There's some really great panels, too. Like, I love the panel of the Gertland being stabbed through one of Virgil's horns. I love that panel. And it ended up being very important to the series overall, which I think is really cool. So, okay, starting in the top 10, we got issue 11. Issue 11 is so good, so funny, great new characters, establishes the arc for that volume. And, again, I have no complaints. Really, really solid issue. Number 9 is issue 7, the introduction of Duncan Dragon. Again, I still do take a lot of issues with the way that Duncan was introduced. It ended up causing so much confusion and complication later in the story. I don't think that should be this issue's fault, though. I like Duncan. In fact, I love Duncan. I mean, who doesn't? Duncan's a little cutie pie. Come on. But yeah, great characters. And yeah, great issue. Number 8 is 33. This one is pretty high up here. I genuinely think this is one of the funniest issues in the whole series. This is the one where the movie is made about Gert, and I thought it was really great. It doesn't really have any kind of plot relevance, but I think that's okay every once in a while. It's okay to have just a little funny episodic adventure like this. At the end of the day, this is a comedy series. At least I think it's supposed to be. So an issue that is really funny, I don't think you should fault it too much. Number 7 is issue 1. Again, very, very good start to the series. Really endeared us to this character and this world. Again, I will reiterate what I said. I think we're stuffing a lot into this first issue, which is fine, I guess. The biggest issue is just how, weird and stiff the dialogue is. I definitely wish that the dialogue was a little tighter. I'm sure a lot of people read this and was like, this is a little too juvenile for me. So for a lot of people, it didn't make the best first impression, but for me, it was a great first impression, despite the flaws that I see in it. Number 6 is issue 9. Issue 9, The Splat in the Hat. Gert goes inside Larry's hat, and there's some fun new characters, and there's some really cool action. And again, doesn't have any kind of plot relevance, but again, I don't think that's a big deal. This is just a really, really solid issue. Number 5 is issue 2. This one and the next one I have switched. I switched places with these two. Number 2 is a great continuation of issue 1. The zombie fawns are awesome, and that's kind of said all I wanted to say about it in my first video. Number 4 is issue 14. I switched places with issue 2 just because I think issue 14 is just so funny. It's so funny. It's plot relevant. There's not action. That's kind of the only other thing that I kind of judge these books on. But that's okay. We get to see Duncan again after not really seeing him for a while. I think really the most substantial time we saw Duncan was issue 8. So it was a lot of fun to see him. he's kind of just in this random situation. Like, we have no idea how he got there. We have no idea why he can fly and shoot fire out of his breath now. Adds to the novelty of seeing him after such a long time. So yeah, issue 14, one of my favorites. Love this issue. And then the last 3 are the same that I had last time. Number 3 is 4, number 2 is 8, number 1 is 5. If you want to know why I love those so much, go and watch my first video. Okay, now here are the volumes ranked worst to best. 4, then 6, then 8, then 7, then 5, then 3, then 2, then 1. I think you could argue that 6 is more incoherent than 4, but 4 just annoys me a lot more. So now comes the big question. Do I still love I Hate Fairyland? That question is very easy for me to answer. Of course I still love I Hate Fairyland. I wouldn't be spending so much time complaining about this series if I didn't love it. It's still very special to me, and despite the messy plot and inconsistencies, I'm still excited to keep reading each month, and I'm excited for the next run to start. When the next run does eventually begin, I don't think I'm going to review them as each volume releases. I think I'm going to wait until that run is finished and then review everything in a big video like the last 2. So come back in like 3 years.